Hello and welcome to the Little Blue Pot and the 31 days of BPD. I hope you are well. Thank you for joining me, BPD partners. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Does that sound familiar? Thank you for joining me. If you are a partner or wife, husband, in a relationship, romantically, romantically with someone, then this is the video for you. I'm going to be talking about some of the things you can do and some of the things that you're probably like, yes, they do that. They do. And we're going to just be talking about it to offer support and some empathy for you guys, because it must be hard to be with someone who has borderline personality disorder, emotional intensity disorder, because sometimes perhaps you don't know who they're going to be from one day to the next. Perhaps it feels like you're walking across a creek, a river, and we're walking on different boards, and perhaps one day you can step and it will be solid underneath you. The next day it could be, or the next hour it could have a big gaping hole that you have to avoid, or maybe you even fall through slightly and get your legs stuck. It can be a real thing, and you can possibly see them as being manipulative. They criticize. Sorry, I'll try that one again, shall I? Furthermore, partners, if you are a partner of someone with BPD, you may feel manipulated, criticised, misunderstood, and maybe even afraid at times. So what are the things that people with BPD can do? Well, they can go to extremes, such as all or nothing thinking. Now, all or nothing thinking is also referred to as splitting, and they will possibly 1 minute idealise you and the next devalue, and this can happen over an hour, over a day, maybe over a couple of days. Perhaps you've had an argument, perhaps you have had some crossed words and they are suddenly behaving very differently towards you. This is probably because they are devaluing you, and this is something that they cannot help. For all of these things, people with BPD aren't purposely trying to do these things. This is something that is deeply rooted within childhood because of biology, genetics, and perhaps early childhood trauma. So it's okay, it doesn't excuse the behaviour, but it should give you hopefully a reason and to be able to understand why this is happening. So yeah, I should have said that first, but they can't help it. So going back to the going to extremes, so this is splitting, all or nothing thinking. For me, with my partner, I can perhaps one day put him on that pedestal of idealising him, and then the next knock him off that pedestal and say that and act as if put him on that pedestal, then knock him off and devalue him. Now, this is something I don't like doing. I can't help it when I do it, but this is something that I do, and neither of those places are safe. They're not easy to maintain. They're not sustainable, and you're putting a lot of pressure on that person to either be perfect, or putting a lot of pressure on them to sort themselves out when you're devaluing them, and that isn't fair. Okay, you're probably thinking yes. If you're not, then you've got then you're very lucky. No, but yeah, if you're thinking yes, I get this, because I do this. I'll devalue Andy, my partner, and I'll probably sulk, I'll probably ignore, I'll probably then try and be sarcastic or criticise him, and then when I'm idealising him, he's the best person in the world, and I'm probably a bit more needy and a bit more clingy, and I'll love him and it will be amazing and we'll get on really well. But again, this is a really, really hard place for that person to be. So does that resonate with you partners of people with BPD? Another area that people with BPD may do too is gaslighting, or providing false information or distorted information. I do this. I remember when we first got together, and I've made up stuff. I said I was a vegetarian for longer than. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my pants, my leggings. Yeah, I did this. I would say to him things that weren't true or distort things. I think I'd said I was a vegetarian for 7 or 8 years when I'd actually only been a vegetarian for about 4 or 5. I don't know why. Perhaps I wanted to sound cooler, and I do this with other people as well. I'll say that I've watched films I haven't seen. This is an insecurity thing, and it's not to manipulate or to lie. it is a lie, but it's more to kind of say, look, I'm really cool, and I want you to think I'm really amazing. And this isn't something we can help. But it's not to hurt someone. It is to sort of say, I'm really cool, I'm awesome. But maybe this happens with you. Expressing entitlement. So maybe saying, I deserve this, I want this, I need it now. And then you're probably thinking, hey, whoa, we can't always have what we want every time we want. But then this person with BPD may actually do this. So what can you do? What can you do to... acting impulsively as well. This is something that I do. I can act on an impulse. If your partner with BPD, you probably notice they act without thinking. They may cut, they may drink, they may take drugs, threaten or attempt suicide, gamble, shoplift recklessly shop or overeat. And after a while, you may even find that you're becoming numb to these outrageous episodes. Does that resonate with you? On the other hand, you may get used to these behaviours and feel that nothing you do can seem to help. For example, when I self-harm, this is very, very serious side of the illness. I do self-harm, and Andy does struggle with this because I'm not one to sort of go and do it in front of him, but he will be aware after I've done it, so he has to then cope with this and understand this is also something my mum has to deal with as well. But if I have self-harmed, if I have gone out of control, we communicate, we talk about it, and this is something that's really, really important. Communicating, talking about it. So I'll say I've done it, he'll say, why did you do it? I'll say why I did it, and then we can discuss it, communicate, hug, create some sort of resolution and move on. I feel like I'm rushing through this, but I want to get to the important things here. So shuffly shuffles. If you don't know the channel, you know that I always have my scribbly bits of paper, and now I'm just trying to find the main one. Okay, so what can you do? Understand the disorder. Now, this can be through communicating with your partner, asking them about it, and try not to do this when they're at that episode, that kind of, when they want to self-harm, or when they're acting impulsively, when they're feeling entitlement, when they're going to extremes, when they're splitting, when they're doing all of those things. Try not to go to that place where you are asking them what to do at that point, because they're not in a stable place. If I wanted to talk about something with Andy, I wouldn't do it when I was at an emotional high or an emotional low, or when I'm splitting or idealising him or devaluing him. I'd rather do it when we're calmer, when things are settled. But also not just communicating with them, going on forums, finding out other people, meeting other people, talking to other people who are going through the same thing. There is something so big to saying you're not on your own. The more you understand the illness, and the more you communicate with other people, the less alone you are going to feel. You're still going to feel alone at some times, and you're alone at some points. You're still going to have days when you want to just leave, when you want to just stop the whole thing, when you want to, shout back, have a go, all of that kind of stuff. But believe me, that isn't going to help. It really isn't, because that person is so vulnerable. The person with BPD is so vulnerable. They can be so alone and so isolated and so immersed in their illness. They need you for that support. So not only going on forums, if I can find some, I'll put some in the space below. If you know anything, if you've got any information on any forums or anything like that, please share that in the space below as well. So not only meeting people, going into forums, but researching. Get fantastic books like this, and this has actually got a whole section, which is where I've taken this from today. I'm going to be doing a giveaway at the end of the series of this 31 days of BPD, so keep an eye out for that. And research, find out about the illness. The more you can understand the disorder, the more you can say, right, that's the illness, and that is my partner. And that is the next thing. Separating your partner from the illness might not always be easy, might be very, very challenging at times, but if you separate your partner from the illness, you can say, that's the illness, right? When they're self-harming, that isn't my partner. That's the illness telling them to do something. When they are in emotional high, maybe hypermanic, and you're trying to calm them down and you don't really know which way they're going to go, and they could be going for impulsive behaviours. They could be acting impulsively and going to behaviours such as reckless shopping, gambling, and things like that. Notice that, say to yourself, that is the illness, and what can I do to calm them down? What can I do? It's communicating, it's listening, it's helping them to distract, helping them to distance from that emotional place. There are 5 steps here, and I'm going to talk through them now. There is distance, so we want to get them away from that initial thing. And how do we do that? With mindfulness, with talking about them, lighting a candle, watching a candle, things like that. The next is communicate, talking. I would say this is one of the biggest areas to focus on, is communication. Not always easy, but try to communicate with them what's going on, how are you feeling. Distance, communicate, challenge. Right, I'll just go through. No, challenge any thoughts they're having, especially if they're going through a negative phase of this. So challenging any negative thoughts, anything that you could say, well, is it like that all the time? Is it like that all the time? Or are there good days? Are there bad days? Distance, communicate, challenge, distract. Try and find something else to do. Take them into a different room, maybe go for a walk, try and support them in any way, shape or form, and manage the problem. If they are, for example, going to the point where they're going to gambling, maybe you could try and get some help for them, get some support. So those are the 5 steps: distance, communicate, challenge, distract, manage problem. If you check out my 31 Days of BPD, the first series, the link for that is in the link for the playlist is in the description below. You can go through each of those steps. I'm not going to go through those in any more detail, but you can go back to that: distance, communicate, challenge, distract, manage problem. Okay, so that's understanding the nature of the disorder and how you can support them through that, making sure that you separate the illness, you do your research, you go onto forums, you find people who are going through the same thing so you can feel less alone. The second thing you can do here is get professional help yourself. I personally think there is a lot to say for getting that help, getting someone so you can talk to someone, because you are in this illness too. Sometimes you are involved, you are immersed, you are always thinking that what's going to happen next, what's going to happen, and if the more support you can get, the better you can support your person that you love with BPD. So maybe see a counsellor, maybe go and join a carers support group. There are places that you can do that. Go to your local, if they're with their local mental health clinic, speak to their, you can even get an appointment with their care coordinator perhaps, or you could even find out where the carer support meetings are, because unfortunately, guys, you are a carer in some respects. You may not be a paid carer or a professional carer of that person with BPD, but you are one of their carers. In fact, probably one of their main carers. So you need to see yourself, put yourself in that role when they are behaving in certain ways. Not always easy. So that is understanding the nature of the disorder, getting professional help, and finally, understanding that it is an illness and the person with BPD is not consciously trying to do this behaviour to hurt you, to manipulate, to criticise, to be angry with you. It is deeply rooted in childhood upbringing and also genetics. This isn't something that they can help, this isn't something they control. I feel that has been a little bit muddled, but I'm hoping that you got those 3 clear points and also realised that some of the things that this happens, and I know that I can do a lot of these things, and whenever I do them afterwards I will beat myself up. I will not necessarily self-harm, but emotionally and mentally beat myself up, because I hate putting Andy through that. I hate someone I love more than anything in the whole world, and I can manipulate, I can lie, I can distort things, I can have entitlement issues, I can act impulsively, and I can get really, really angry sometimes and say things I don't mean, and it kills me. But I know that the more we communicate, the more we support each other. When I'm having a good day, I will do my best to support him. So if you're watching this together as a couple with a BPD partner, someone who has BPD, look at each other now. Go on. do it. And say to each other, I support you. Oh, I'm getting a bit emotional talking about this. Say, I love you, and it's the illness, not you. Okay? Love each other, care about each other, support each other, communicate with each other, and do what you can to separate the illness from the person. Thanks for watching. Big hugs to you both. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope that there are some things you can do. Don't forget to check out the 31 Days of BPD, the original series for distance, communicate, challenge, distract, manage problem. You can apply that to all areas of BPD, and hopefully that will make you work better together in sweet harmony. And I don't know what that was, apologies there, but yeah, take care, lots of love to you both, best of luck on your journey together, be there for each other, take care, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Take care now, bye.